out today. As you can see here on the screen, this webinar is low season strategies. Low season strategies. For those of you Game of Thrones fans like I am, hopefully that picture brings back good memories of this season. So why are we talking about low season strategies? Well, the majority of the country is coming out of busy season or wrapping up busy season, where hopefully you had a good year, good summer, good occupancy, good revenue, and now we need to start preparing for shoulder seasons and off seasons for a good portion of you. So that's what we'll be covering here today. I'm going to do my best to try and keep it within 30 minutes here. As usual, these sessions get recorded, so if you have to jump off, leave early, get distracted, no worries here. It'll automatically be emailed to you with the link of that recording. And then the other thing I've got for you here today is within the GoToWebinar tool, you should be able to see a handout, which is our definitive guide for off-season reservations. So it will take a good portion of the stuff I cover today and then some and go real granular with specifics for you guys there. So, okay. All right, a little bit about me, guys, for those of you that are not familiar. My name is Josh Wise. My role here at ResStream is the VP of Customer Success. So I'm responsible for our customer success support team, customer consultant, sales team. So my job here is to make sure that our products and solutions are continually evolving and meeting the needs of our clients. Our focus is small independent lodging properties, and what I mean by small is less than 100 rooms. We don't deal with any chains or franchises or anything like that. ResStream has been doing this since the early 2000s. Me specifically, I've been here with the company going on 9 years. And then something personal about me is I'm a Colorado native here. I tell people it's a horrible place to live, so please don't move here because it's getting crowded and overpopulated, but beautiful, beautiful state if you have a chance to visit, by all means. Okay, so first thing I want to touch on today, guys, and this topic incites a lot of different emotions with independent properties that I speak with, but it's the OTAs, okay? So what is an OTA? It stands for an online travel agent. So for those of you that have been in the industry a long time, or those of you a little bit older, you were familiar or grew up with the traditional travel agents that you used to book travels through before the internet became so popular. So an OTA is similar to a travel agent. The only difference is that it's online, right? So some examples that I'm sure you've all heard of before, Expedia and Booking.com. Those are definitely the two largest players in the industry, and then Hotels.com, Orbitz, Travelocity, etc. So you've heard the names before, you're familiar with them, right? So as it relates to OTAs and how they can help, let's look at some statistics here, okay? So OTAs will account for 17% of total U.S. travel bookings in 2017. And that's up from 16% in 2014. So OTAs are a very relevant source of where travelers are looking to start making online reservations. Now, ideally, for independent properties, we want people to come direct, right? We want them to find our website. We want them to book direct. But for those of you unfamiliar with internet marketing, for those of you that have bad experiences, don't trust it, don't have the budget for it, you're not doing search engine optimization, you're not doing pay-per-click, you're not doing keyword research. So, you know, the way that people are finding you directly is typically through word of mouth or repeat guests, right? Well, OTAs is a nice channel to help drive new business, right? New business, leisure travelers, families, people from overseas looking for longer reservations, right? This next stat here, OTAs are responsible for 28% of all mobile bookings, with an expectation to increase to 44% in 2017. So this year, those mobile bookings through OTAs are going to increase to 44%. So how is that helpful for you? Well, there's still a good portion of independent properties that don't have responsive websites. So what is a responsive website? It's a website that when viewed on a tablet, like an iPad or a smartphone, our cellular phones that we use all day, your website isn't necessarily giving the best view on all those different devices via a responsive website. So these OTAs can help fill that void that you're having there, right? And then the last statistic here, estimated incremental direct reservations from listing on OTAs for independents is 26%. So what this stat is telling us is that even though you're listed on an OTA and even though you have to pay them commissions for every reservation somewhere in the ballpark of 15 to 25%, it's saying that by being listed on those OTAs, it will drive direct reservations. So how does that happen? Well, like myself, as a specific example, I will go to an OTA like Expedia, and I will search for lodging for a specific time frame of travel, vacation that I'm doing. And then what I do is I go and I look those properties up directly. Now you have to type them into the search engines because the OTAs obviously don't want to link directly to your website and forego the commissions that you'd have to pay if I booked. But people are using these OTAs to gather all the competitive lodging properties in an area, and then they're going directly, and as you should be doing, you should be offering some type of incentive for people to book directly with you so that you can combat those OTAs that you're listed on, and that way you can train those people to start booking direct with you because they're going to get a slightly better deal. Now, for those of you using OTAs, you know that they request rate parity, meaning that if you sell a room for $100 on your website, you got to sell the same room for $100 on their OTA. However, they don't say anything about offering free Wi-Fi, free parking, complimentary champagne, chocolate, stuff like that, right? Giving those people incentives. So that's what that stat relates to. So being on OTAs not only helps increase your visibility, not only helps drive new business, helps get business from overseas, especially on Booking.com because they own the European market and people over there are booking longer stays here in the U.S. through that specific OTA. But they're also being used as search engines to drive direct reservations, right? So benefits for your property, increase your customer base with new clientele. We all want that. The way that we sustain business is through repeat guests, right? But repeat guests typically come once a year. Some come more, bless those people. But the way that we grow business is by getting new clientele, and OTAs are a good way to do that, right? Other benefits is we're increasing revenue and occupancy, more visibility, more reservations, more clientele lends to higher occupancy and more revenue, right? Other benefits is these OTAs can help supplement you during midweek and off-season bookings, right? That's why we're talking about this. This is low season strategy. So let's use these OTAs in periods of need, right? When we need them, midweeks and off-season, shoulder seasons. The other thing that they can help do is assist in increasing average lengths of stay, right? So all of those things are beneficial. So recapping here, and to add some additional points, here's some things that you should be doing when working with OTAs. The first thing is negotiate commissions, okay? What I mean by that is I've been doing this for 9 years now, okay? When I first started, the OTAs were charging 25% or more. And then a couple years later, Booking.com came over here, and in order to be competitive, they had to have a better price to compete, so they came in at 15%. Well, they took the U.S. by storm because most of the OTAs over here were charging 25%, and they're undercutting them down to 15%, and then everyone else had to adapt in order to be competitive. So if you currently are working with an OTA and you're paying more than 15%, or you're looking at adding an OTA and they're quoting you more than 15%, you need to go back to them and say, I don't think so. I want 15% or I'm walking. and specifically use their competition against them. So if you're going to sign up with Expedia and they're trying to get you more at 15%, you tell them, take a hike, I'm going to booking.com and I'm only paying 15%, and they will certainly change their tune. I've seen this across the board with multiple small properties. So do not let them take advantage of you. Negotiate your commissions, okay? Next thing here, which seems obvious, but a lot of people get this wrong, guys. Promote inventory during the low season, okay? And that kind of goes to the next point of promoting inventory during various need periods. So the point that I'm making here, guys, is if your busy season is, say, June, July, and August, and historically you're running at 85+% occupancy, do not give them inventory. Do not give them any inventory during that time. Block that off or black that out on all the OTAs, because why in the world are you going to accept a reservation through an OTA and have to pay them 15% commission during a busy season or on weekends, as example, when you're expecting to fill up anyways, right? So you don't just sign up for OTAs and set it and forget it, and then you smile when you get one, because you're paying 15% of the revenue during times in which you already are expected to be full based on historical data. So let's not give away more money out of our pocket, right? Because that all goes to the bottom line. The next thing here is utilize minimum night stay requirements. So as an example, if you are a motel and your ADR is around the $60 mark or somewhere in there, and every time you get an OTA reservation, not only do you have your internal cost and heating and staff and overhead and all that stuff, but now you got to pay out 15%. Well, let's make sure that we don't allow one-night reservations. Let's set minimum night requirements on those OTAs, 2 nights, 3 nights, etc., right? So take advantage of the tools that are there for you to help maximize profits, bookings, reservations on these channels, right? And then the last thing here that you should be doing is promoting your higher priced rooms. So for those of you that maybe are in your busy season or on your weekends and you're close to full but you're not selling your higher priced rooms, maybe a strategy is go ahead and put your higher priced rooms on the OTAs during those busy times, because they're not selling anyways, right? So that's a good way to promote those things out there and try and get those things filled up when you're not able to do it over the phone or directly on your website, okay? So hopefully that makes sense here, guys. So negotiate, make sure you're only using them when you need them, make sure you're setting minimum night stay requirements, and let's try and sell those higher priced rooms. OTAs in general are a necessary evil in today's day and age. If you do not use OTAs, there is a percentage of the population out there that is never going to go directly to your website. It's just a fact. They prefer the OTAs for whatever reason. They have incentives, they book it through work, et cetera, et cetera. So not being there, you're missing out on an opportunity. So when you do go and get there, let's make sure that we're using it strategically and it's not a set it and forget it mentality, okay? Okay, moving on. Second thing that I want to cover today is SEO, right? So hopefully most of you know what it is. If you do not, SEO stands for search engine optimization. Specifically speaking, SEO is the practice of increasing the quantity and quality of traffic to your website through organic search results, okay? Search results come from the search engines, and a search engine that you're familiar with is Google, Yahoo, and Bing. So I'm trying not to talk over anyone that isn't as familiar. So SEO is search engine optimization. It's the practice of driving more quantity and quality traffic, visitors, to your website through the search engines and organic searches, the search engines being Google, Yahoo, and Bing, okay? Now, SEO should be implemented on every single page of your website, and that is what helps drive that qualified traffic. And the more quality, the more quantity of traffic that comes to your website, and the more quality of traffic, those are the people that are going to end up booking online via your website, right? And when they book directly with you, you're not paying those high commissions of those OTAs. So as I go through these off-season, low-season strategies today, you don't just use one and ignore the other, right? This is something that needs to be implemented across the board, that everyone should be doing and using all of these things. Now, that doesn't mean as soon as you hang up, you start doing all this stuff tomorrow, because that gets really overwhelming. You're already wearing multiple hats. But these are things that can be implemented over time. And these are things that many vendors out there in the industry are able to offer you at a very professional level, okay? Okay, now let's look at some statistics here. Let's look at some statistics. So Google gets over 100 billion searches a month worldwide. 100 billion. It's absolutely insane. I was looking up statistics a little while ago in regards to the search engines that drive the most worldwide traffic, and Google is at like 72%. So Google is the 800-pound gorilla. It's the measuring stick that all other search engines measure against. All marketing agencies are trying to impress with their SEO efforts, okay? Now, second statistic here is 83% of leisure travelers are using the internet to plan their trips, okay? So the point that I'm making here is that 83% of people that are booking lodging and planning lodging are using the search engines, right? So I'm trying to make the point to you how relevant SEO, search engine optimization, is. And for those of you that are not doing it, you need to start looking into it, guys. You're way behind the curve already, but that's okay. That doesn't mean that you can't get caught up, right? Lastly here, 95% of guests who start their travel plans using a search engine are using them to research destinations, right? So they're using the search engines. They're planning their travel. They're booking online. There's another statistic that I didn't put here, but it's 65% of everyone that books lodging does so online, right? So we all know how relevant the internet is. Most of us are using it multiple times a day or multiple times a week. And this is how your guests are trying to find you and plan their trips and searching for you, right? It's very, very, very relevant, okay? Now, let's look at a measuring stick, okay? These boxes down here, these are a measuring stick that you should be measuring yourself against as it relates to your website, your online presence, okay? More than 50% of all website traffic should be coming from the organic channel, okay? So organic, that's the free listings. That's where when you do search engine optimization on each and every page of your website and someone is searching on lodging accommodations in Denver, that's where you should be showing up with in those free search, not the paid search or pay-per-click, but in the organic listings, right? And there's 10 spots to be had there on each and every single page of those search results. And if you guys do not have Google Analytics, which is a free tool that tracks all visitor behavior and traffic to your website, if you guys don't at a minimum have Google Analytics, you're not going to be able to compare yourself against these measuring sticks of industry standards. So do me a favor. If you don't have Google Analytics, call me, email me, and I'll have my team set that up for you for free, no charge, okay? So don't worry about that. But you need to be measuring yourself here, okay? This is how we constantly improve and drive these reservations in the low season and the busy season for that matter. So more than 50% of all traffic to your website should be coming from that organic channel, okay? So if you do not have that and you have a measuring tracking data to look at, you need to start looking into SEO very seriously, okay? And again, if you don't have Google Analytics or a measuring tracking tool on your website, reach out to me, we'll get it to you for free. Okay, secondly here, if consistent quality SEO is being performed, more than 55% of your online revenue should be coming from that organic channel, okay? So again, proving the point of how relevant SEO is, these are industry statistics here, and 55% of your actual revenue should be coming directly to you online through organic. You don't need to be, or you shouldn't be having data where more than half of your revenue online is coming from pay-per-click, that means you're too reliant on that specific channel, or from referrals or email blasts or things of that nature, right? It should be coming from that free organic channel, and that's where the majority of people are using search engines, are going, looking, clicking on, and ultimately making purchasing decisions from, okay? This last statistic here, the average return on investment for SEO-related revenue from a professional agency should be no less than 594% annually. So this is a statistic that ResStream has pulled from our marketing clients. And we've been doing internet marketing, search engine optimization for over a decade for small independent lodging properties. So basically the point that I'm making here is, for those of you that have never done SEO, for those of you that are hearing about SEO for the first time today, for those of you that have done SEO before but you've not had a good return on your investment, or you've gotten burned by some shady company that promised you the world, what I'm telling you here is that ResStream has been able to achieve a 594% return on investment for those people paying us money and what we're giving back to them. Now, that is a statistic that you should measure your marketing agency against. It doesn't mean you got to call ResStream and use ResStream. There's a lot of good vendors out there, but that should be a good measuring stick. And if you're not at least getting those results, then I would say something's going wrong. Okay, let's look at some of the do's as it relates to SEO. First thing here is you should be researching how SEO can help, okay? Don't just take my word for it. Go out there and Google, Yahoo, Bing, whatever search engine you use, and start looking up, how does SEO work? Why is it beneficial? Can it help me? So start doing research. If you are uneducated on this topic, there is so much self-knowledge that can be gained out there, and you need to be taking this seriously. If you're not doing SEO, you're already behind the curve. And as I mentioned before, it's never too late, okay? So don't just write this one off. This is very, very important. The second thing here is work with a lodging agency. What do I mean by that? There are so many SEO companies out there, guys, that you could sign up with. Here is the biggest thing I hear from lodging properties that end up getting burned on SEO is they work with people that have no experience doing SEO for lodging properties, right? So what's a good analogy off the top of my head? If I've got a plumbing issue, I'm not going to go ask my brother's sister's girlfriend's cousin to come over who's fixed his toilet one time in his life to solve my plumbing issue, right? I'm going to go get someone that has experience doing residential plumbing to solve my problem because it's something that they have expertise and experience in. The same thing should be said with SEO. Do not go cheap on this investment, and do not work with someone that has no idea how lodging functions, how guests are searching for lodging properties and trying to book online. Work with an experienced agency that has experience with the lodging segment specifically, okay? Make sure you have Google Analytics. We already talked about that. If you don't have it, reach out. We'll get it for you, no charge, okay? Next thing here is track revenue from your SEO efforts. So on the previous slide, I referenced the 594% return on investment. Well, you can't measure your return on investment, what you're paying versus what you're getting in return, if you're not able to track the revenue, right? So when you work with an SEO company, make sure that they understand revenue tracking and have it set up and implemented, and they've tested and validated it works. That needs to happen out of the gates. Don't wait 6 months, 9 months, 12 months to ask that question and then realize that they haven't got it set up. As well as you need to work with a booking engine provider that supports revenue tracking. It's pretty common in today's day and age. But if you reach out to your booking engine provider and ask the simple question, do you support revenue tracking? If they say no, I'm out. I'm jumping ship. Who in the world can't track revenue in today's day and age? ResStream specifically, as a reference point, we've been doing it for 10 years. So if you got a booking engine provider that doesn't track revenue in today's day and age, you've got a problem, okay? Lastly here, and probably the single most important thing, is that SEO is ongoing. It is not a one-time thing. It is not something that you just kind of do and you don't pay attention to and then you give up on because you're not seeing the results, okay? When done properly, SEO happens each and every single month. And the people that are doing so are getting the greatest return on their investment, okay? In order to make money, you got to spend money. So don't look at SEO as another cost on the balance sheet. You need to look at it as an investment that, when done properly, has a significant return on your business, okay? So don't get talked into that one-time stuff. You need to be doing it ongoing. Now, with that being said, doing it one time is better than not doing it at all, okay? So just keep that in mind. If you're scared, you don't have the budget or whatever, having a one-time SEO is better than nothing at all. But in order to gain the maximum value, benefit, return on investment from it, it needs to be an ongoing effort, guys, okay? All right. Third thing I want to talk about with you today is partnering with local businesses. Well, last time I checked, nobody's staying inside their room 24/7, right? They're getting out and about, they're going around your town, and nobody knows what to do in your local area better than you, right? So it's a good time to start taking advantage of that knowledge. Okay, so now what? Now what do you do? Now that you know that, what do you do? Well, now you need to reach out to the most popular places, businesses that people are visiting in your area and start creating relationships, right? Try and work out some formal referral program if they offer it. And if not, let them know that you'll be referring business their way. And in exchange, you'd ask that they do the same, okay? So what are some examples of some local businesses? We've got breweries and wineries. Breweries are popping up all over the place. I know they're very hot here in Denver. I can't even drive down the street without seeing a new brewery. Very, very posh, if you will, and that's something that especially the millennials are into and they're taking advantage of, right? So that's a good example. Or wineries, events, festivals, right? Stuff that are going on in your area, stuff that repeats every year, or stuff that's in your area that happens all the time. Those are good places to reach out to. Any outdoor activities, right? They're biking guides, hiking, amusement parks, or anything in between, right? Those are places that you can start reaching out to and creating some type of relationship, saying, hey, I've got a good number of people that are coming to town to stay with me. I'd like to send them your way. Can you offer any type of discount if I send them your way? 10%, 5%, extra such and such, right? And in exchange, when people come to do your activity or brewery or whatever, throw them my way, and I'll give them some type of a discount, set up promo codes, etc., right? So as it relates to local businesses, we should be reaching out to the most popular ones that you know guests engage with, or that you like yourself, you know are popular. You know better than everyone else, right? And these guests are looking at you kind of like a concierge of things to do, places to eat, right? They want to impress their spouse, their family, etc. They don't stay in your room 24/7. You need to be formulating, hopefully, some type of formal referral plan where I scratch your back, you scratch mine, discounts, add-ons for free, things like that, that actually make this relationship work. If you're reaching out to people and you're not willing to offer any type of discount, then what is the incentive for that business to send people to your lodging property? There isn't one, and vice versa, right? So I've stayed at places where I've seen this work very well. I've taken advantage of it myself. So if you're not taking advantage of the local businesses to help drive business to you and you to them, then shame on you. This is something that we can do, especially in the low season, right? Engage consistently. You can't just call them one time and then set it and forget it. You never follow up with them. You don't know if it's working. They're not sending you people anymore. You're not in their face constantly, right? Now, I'm not saying call them once a day or call them once a week, but touch and base with them multiple times a year to see how it's going. Is it beneficial? What's the feedback they're going? Is there any adjustments that we can make that are mutually beneficial, for both of us? Then let's do it. Be open, collaborative. The whole point is to benefit both parties of that partnership, right? And then market it to all your guests, right? That's a no-brainer to me. Share it, explain it, put up little informative graphs about it, or lay out the cards or the discounts or what have you. Put it in your confirmation letters. Put something in their room of places to see and things to do, right? The more people you send them, the more value they're going to see out of that, and the more people they're going to send to you, right? It's got to be mutually beneficial. And then lastly here, as I mentioned, offer promotions, right? 5% off, 10% off. Your reservation software and online booking engine in today's day and age should be able to support a promotional code. That promotional code can be tied specifically to that business that you've partnered with for tracking purposes. So that way you can evaluate if that relationship's working or not. You need to re-engage them, get more creative in how it can work better for you, or rule out that it just isn't worth the effort in general, right? So it's a good way to track it, okay? All right, last thing, number 4 that I want to talk about with you guys today before I let you go, I'm right at the 30-minute mark here, so I'm wrapping up, is leveraging repeat guests, right? Something that personally drives me crazy when I'm evaluating a lodging property or discussing with them how to gain more business is because they've had a good repeat guest market, or because repeat guests do well for them, they set it and forget it. Again, you guys are small businesses, you have limited resources, which means limited staff, and you're already wearing multiple hats, right? I don't need to tell you that, you're living it each and every day. But that doesn't mean that we should be getting lazy with the people that come and stay with us, right? We need to take advantage of that. We need to nurture that relationship, right? Because no one is more likely to purchase from you than someone that's already bought from you before. They've already stayed with you. They've already given you their money. They understand the value and the customer service that you provide. So you need to be taking advantage of that, right? So it seems like a no-brainer, but not everyone is doing that. So let's look at some statistics here, okay? Average online lodging conversion rates are 1 to 3%. And after one purchase with you, a customer has a 27% chance of returning. After a second or third purchase with you, they've got a 54% chance of returning. And those repeat customers are going to convert online at 60 to 70%, okay? So let me put that in perspective. People that have bought with you are more likely to buy from you again, and it's easier to generate revenue from those people than someone brand new. If they bought from you multiple times, they're in love with your brand and the value that you offer, your property, customer service, so they're 54% more likely to return, and they're going to return and book online, which means you don't got to pick up the phone, you don't got to spend 30 minutes going over your layout, your rooms, the pricing, looking at all these different dates and yada yada, right? The biggest bang for our buck and return on our investment is when people book online and they do it directly, because we're not paying high commissions. We don't got to pick up the phone and talk to them, right? So we need to leverage these repeat guests. So how do we do that? How do we do that? We email them, right? Now, some of you out there are saying, oh man, I open my inbox every day and I get a bunch of crap from everyone all over the place and I don't care about it and I hate it and I don't even look at it. I just mass delete everything, right? But you know what emails you do care about, and the ones that you do open? The ones from the people you trust, the brands that you love, the people that you've already spent money with, right? Those are not intrusive emails, right? Because it's a trusted source. So do not be afraid to email your guest list of people that have already purchased from you before, because if they don't want to receive your emails, they'll opt out. Every email program out there offers an unsubscribe option, and if they don't want to hear from you, they'll let you know, okay? That doesn't mean they'll never come and stay with you again. That's not what that means. So do not be afraid to email people. It is not a burden. You will have higher open rates emailing people that know you, trust you, have spent money with you, than just getting a random email list out there from people that don't know you from John Doe, right? So don't be afraid, okay? Promotional codes. Give them a reason to book directly with you. Give them a reason to return, okay? So here's a good example, okay? Someone finds you through an OTA that we talked about. They book through that OTA. Well, although they booked on the OTA and the OTA thinks they own the relationship because that's where the booking originated, you're the one providing the service. You're the one that they care about because they're staying with you. They need to see good customer service, good rooms, good amenities, good value for the price. Well, what you need to do from that point is you need to market to that person and turn them into a repeat guest. Don't allow them to book through the OTA again next time. Educate them on the benefits and give them incentives or promotions to book directly with you next time. Here's a good example. Someone books through booking.com, you got to pay 15% for that booking. Upon checkout or some other time, you reach out to them and you say, hey, you book with me direct, I'm going to give you 5% or 10% off, use promo code ACD. Well, they come back, they book with you, and you got to give them a discount, but guess what? They didn't book through the OTA, so you're not paying out 15%. You only gave them a 5% or 10% discount, advantage you, more money in your pocket, more money to the bottom line, right? So let's use these promo codes with these repeat guests. Let's retrain these OTA bookers and start giving them incentives to book directly, okay? This is something that everyone should be doing, right? That ties into the offering the incentives, right? It could be wine, champagne, chocolates. It could be something like free Wi-Fi if you charge for that, or free parking, or let's say you've got a fee if someone needs to have a late checkout and you waive that, right? Give them an incentive to make them book directly and make them book more frequently. Don't just assume because John and Sally Doe come once a year and they always come in September. Don't assume that they don't want to come more frequently, right? Let's give them reasons to come. Let's give them incentives. Let's market to them. Let's give them exciting updates on what's going on or renovations or things in the area that are happening that they're going to miss out on, right? Those are good things to do. This last one's a little bit unique, and I'm sure it will make certain people cringe, but send a handwritten card, right? So imagine the brand loyalty that you would have if you sent a handwritten card to just new guests, right? And what do I mean by brand loyalty? I'll give you an example for those of you that have iPhones, right? Like me, if you have an iPhone, you probably love Apple. Why? If I go to their website, it's so simple, and I understand the products that they offer because they dumb it down for me, and I'm not technologically advanced. They dumb it down for me in their messaging. And then when I get their product, I fall in love with their packaging, the simplicity and the thought process that goes into the organization of how they've got this phone in this tiny ass box, and they've got the earplugs and the power cords, and all of that stuff is so clean and concise. And then from there, using the actual product is so simple. I don't need instruction manuals or user guides, right? I'm in love with that brand, right? Because they've taken the time to go above and beyond and make my experience phenomenal. Imagine if you did that. Imagine if you got a new guest and you sent them a handwritten card. Hi, John and Sally Doe. Thank you so much for visiting X, Y, and Z property. We thoroughly enjoyed your stay, and we were so happy to have you guys out here. We would love for you to come back. We're going to bust our ass to make your experience every time you come amazing. And if something wasn't perfect, you reach out and you let me know, and I'll take care of it personally. Imagine if you got that the first time you went and stayed with somebody. Are you going to fall in love with that customer service? I know I would, because I don't know about you guys, but almost weekly I'm going home complaining to my wife that I went to the gas station, the grocery store, I talked to a cable provider, whatever, and the customer service was atrocious. It was absolutely atrocious. So I fall in love with the people that go above and beyond, and they take my feelings into consideration, and your guests would do the same. So even if you don't send it to every reservation across the board, even if you did it one time to brand new people, I guarantee you're going to get a lot more repeat guests, and that's going to help fill up these low seasons, these periods of needs, right? Okay. That concludes today. So I'm about 10 minutes over than my goal, so I apologize for that. Hopefully you guys got great value. In wrapping up here, let me talk about a couple things. First thing is, go ahead and download that handout. You should see it within the GoToWebinar app. It's a definitive guide for off-season reservations. So not only will it cover some of the things I talked on today, but it'll cover much more, and it'll go in granular detail step-by-step of how to take advantage of this, okay? Low seasons, off seasons, those are need periods for everyone in the lodging industry, okay? So, you know, yeah, do some people have it nailed down, or they're lucky, or they've built up a brand or what have you? Yes, absolutely. But the majority of the properties I talk to, and I've talked to thousands of them, they need help in the low seasons, okay? So the only way that you're going to turn this around is you got to put in the work, right? Don't be sitting here twiddling your thumbs and hoping that this year is different than last year, different than the year before, and you've done nothing to change the course, right? And I know it can be exhausting, and I know it's hard work, and I know you got multiple hats, but you got to build the foundation and reap the benefits later on, right? So let's start grinding on this stuff. We invest enough of our time and energy into the properties. Let's start taking advantage of it and maximizing it, right? So download that guide, okay? Next thing here, if you need to get in touch with me, you got thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, please reach out, okay? And for those people that aren't familiar with ResStream, that does not mean I'm billing you or charging you. We're legitimately here to help people out. We want to share our experiences of other properties and share that knowledge. That's why we do these free webinars, guys. We're not about making money. We're not about going public. We're not about selling, okay? We're about helping the lodging industry for people that already wear too many hats and need some assistance, okay? We're a partner, and that doesn't mean that you have to buy something from us to get some value out of that partnership, okay? So reach out. No question is a dumb question. The next webinar that we're doing here is about updating your website and what you need to be mindful of before starting. Again, nothing is set it and forget it. Even if your website is performing well, you do not want to fall behind. You want to maximize its value. It needs to be updated consistently, so come and learn how you do that. Lyle is going to talk to you about that on the 19th of October. We do these free webinars at least once a month. Take advantage of it. We also have additional resources. Here's that webinar link where you can go to get signed up for these things. But we also do many blogs all the time, several a week, okay? We've got content writers. We've got people doing research for us. We're looking at other vendors. We're looking at industry statistics. We're sharing our own experiences with the thousands of properties that we work with. We're trying to share and educate the knowledge. We don't look at one person as a competitor. We're trying to help the industry, okay? So take advantage of that. We also have resource guides. One you should be downloading today. We've got other guides on killer booking engines, how to evaluate reservation softwares, internet marketing, et cetera, et cetera. So take advantage of that knowledge and resource, right? We all have free time. Let's use that free time to educate us so that it can impact our business positively, okay? All right, guys, thank you so much for your time today. I hope you got some immense value out of this. If you need anything, please reach out. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.